Hello, it's Friday the 18th of July 2025. Welcome to Gttv News in English. I am Aisatokuli. Coming up on tonight's program, a major shake-up in land policy as the Ministry of Lands announces new measures aimed at curbing land hoarding and speculation. A fresh batch of Gambian soldiers completes advanced training in counter-terrorism and leadership. And cabinet ministers begin a 3-day retreat at State House focusing on delivering results in key priority areas. All that and more after this short commercial break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Gttv News in English with me, Aisatokuli. We begin with land ownership, a dream for many Gambians, but concerns are growing over plots that are bought and left idle. Now the government is taking action. A new policy unveiled by the Ministry of Lands aims to tackle the problems of hoarding and land grabbing. Omar H. Balder reports.
At a press conference over the weekend, Lands and Religious Affairs Minister Hamad Ba didn't mince his words. He says the Gambia is preparing a bold new policy and it is directly targeting landholders.
If you are taxed heavily, you either lose the land or you surrender the land to the state. There is no choice about that. So that's why this policy is not very popular with some people. You must also accept that. But it is people's policy because they created this policy. So the Gambian people own this policy. So let's make sure that the policy will be fully implemented for the betterment of the Gambian people.
According to the minister, this is causing real harm. It is driving up land prices and fueling disputes in communities already under pressure. In some areas, tensions are boiling over. Families clashing over boundaries, communities divided, and behind many of these conflicts, lands that is being grabbed or misused. The minister says the new policy will ensure that land is being used productively. In other words, if you are sitting on it and not doing anything with it, expect a knock on the door.
And what we found on the ground, they will buy these plots from all these poor people, fence them. 6 years, they make millions out of it. And this policy, land policy, is addressing that. If you have land now you fence, you will pay heavy tax to the state. So the issue of land grabbing will come to an end. This policy is putting an end to that. We all know that we've been victims, all of us. Most of us did not know how our land was managed and how our land was used.
The new national land policy is still being developed and there is no official timeline yet. But consultations are already happening and the message from government is clear. Land is not a luxury to sit on. It is a resource that must be used. For Gttv News, I am Omar Hejbanle.
To Banjul now, where President Adama Barrow has officially opened the second cabinet retreat of his administration under the theme Delivering Results. The 3-day gathering at State House is designed to strengthen governance and align national priorities with the needs of the ordinary Gambians. More on this report. In a step towards enhancing governance and accountability, President Adama Barrow today conveyed the second cabinet retreat of his administration, focusing on the theme, Delivering Results. The 3-day retreat, held at the State House, aims to align the government's objectives with the pressing needs of the Gambian people. During the session, various ministers discussed key challenges they face and strategize actionable plans to improve service delivery. In his opening statement, President Adama Barrow reaffirmed his government's commitment to the people of the Gambia. He emphasized the importance of collaboration and efficiency, urging his cabinet to prioritize initiatives that will lead to meaningful outcomes for citizens, despite the country's significant development progress.
I declare 2025 the year of results and maintain that the test of this government does not rest entirely on well-designed plans, but on performance and impact.
The Gambian leader further stressed that much more needs to be done. While acknowledging the impressive progress achieved so far, he noted that the Gambian people are expecting even more greater results. He reminded the ministers of the commitment they made during the first cabinet retreat, reiterating their responsibilities to enhance governance and accountability for the benefit of the nation.
Our citizens are aware of the impressive pace of development in the country, but their expectations clearly overweigh our accomplishments. They want more results at a quicker pace and in every corner of the land and without compromise. They expect us to deliver. Reverting to the last cabinet retreat, every minister presented 5 priority deliverables for attainment this year. They are not wish lists, but formal commitments endorsed at the highest level of government. To mention a few examples, the Ministry of Health committed to deliver 6 new health posts and introduce PCR testing and sequencing, whilst the Ministry of Energy committed to finalize new energy and petroleum policies and expand village-level electricity access. On the other hand, the Ministry of Transport opted to construct hundreds of kilometers of road infrastructure in key regions.
President Barrow outlined the critical role of each ministry, adding that every minister will be held accountable for delivering on their respective mandates. He emphasized the need for full implementation of agreed-upon plans within the specific time frame.
Label electricity access. On the other hand, the Ministry of Transport opted to construct hundreds of kilometers of road infrastructure in key regions. Because each ministry bears responsibility for a critical aspect of our national development agenda, we must hold ministers accountable for all the deliverables pertaining to their various institutions. As agreed, Cabinet documented 5 clear deliverables per ministry at the last retreat, and we expect full implementation of each of them within the agreed time frame. All ministries are aware of the deliverables and deliberated upon them at the recent Permanent Secretary's retreat.
President Barrow noted with encouragement that the Cabinet has improved its internal procedures and adopted a more engaging decision-making process, supported by enhanced delivery mechanisms. He advised Cabinet members to remain focused on serving the people, to strengthen coordination, deepen accountability, and deliver with urgency and integrity. He further stated that the retreat should be used to renew their collective commitment to working together as colleagues in discharging their responsibilities with honor, and most importantly, to meet the expectations and the needs of the Gambian people. As the retreat progresses, the government is expected to set a roadmap addressing critical areas such as education, health, and infrastructure development. Reporting for Gttv News, Aissatou Koli. A milestone today for national security. 35 officers from the Gambia Armed Forces have completed an intensive training of trainers program at Fajara Barracks, conducted by the Military Police Training School. The course focused on counterterrorism, leadership, and teaching techniques. Amijaro picks up the rest of that story.
The TOT program, a rigorous and highly specialized course, focused on equipping selected participants with advanced tactical and industrial skills This training was not only about combat techniques, but also about leadership strategy and the ability to train others in the complex fight against terrorism. Speaking at the event, the commandant of GAF Training School, Abdullah Seka, expressed heartfelt appreciation to the course instructors.
Let me begin by extending my heartfelt appreciation to the course instructors who made this training possible. We are especially grateful to the course instructors from the Defense Headquarters, from 1 Infantry Battalion, and from the Counter-Terrorism Unit of the Gambia Armed Forces, the Gambia instructors from the Gambia Armed Forces Training School, and our partners, the ECOMIC. Your expertise, commitment, and sacrifice have been instrumental in equipping our men and women with the tactical, technical, and cognitive skills required to confront terrorist threats in today's security environment.
Commandant Seka also congratulated the graduates for their unwavering commitment throughout the demanding training. He encouraged them to step forward as leaders of change, both within the military and in society at large.
I say congratulations on completing this, very demanding course. You have shown resilience, discipline, and dedication throughout the past 4 weeks. You were tested physically, mentally, and professionally, and you have emerged better prepared, sharper, and more confident. But remember, this is not the end of the journey. What you have learned here must be translated into practice. You must serve as agents of change, taking the skills and knowledge gained and applying them in your units and operational contexts.
For his part, Brigadier General Seth Njai, commander of Gambia Armed Force, emphasized the core objectives of the training to build capacity, sharpen leadership, and enhance operational readiness.
The main objective of this vision is to refocus the mindset of troops under command towards military professionalism. This training marks a pivotal milestone in our collective efforts towards achieving this vision. More importantly, since our mandate requires us to defend the territorial integrity of our country, it is paramount to design realistic training programs aimed at improving our operational preparedness so that we can effectively contribute meaningfully to efforts intended to fortify the Gambia's response mechanism against emerging security threats. I am convinced that the training you just received over the past weeks has not only sharpened your skills, but has also enhanced your confidence in the discharge of your role as the custodians of national defense. Since the objective of this training was to train battalion instructors, I have the conviction that the lessons delivered during the period are well understood, both theoretically and practically. I therefore urge you to leave here empowered, not only by what you have learned, but by the trust placed in you.
General Njai extended sincere gratitude to GAF's development and security partners for their invaluable support, describing them as a vital alliance in strengthening the Gambia's national defense mechanism.
Let me also take the opportunity to thank the commanding officers of the Gambia National Army and the staff of my headquarters, that's the Gambia National Army headquarters, for their commitment since the idea of this training was conceived. All the commanding officers and the officers at my headquarters work diligently to make sure that this thing comes to a successful conclusion. So thank you for your commitment and thank you for your cooperation. And I urge you to continue to work in that direction so that we can make the GNA better once again. So we have a special thanks for the 1 Infantry Battalion who hosted the training during this period. All the battalion personnel were assembled at the 1 Infantry Battalion, where the training was conducted, and I hope they took a very good care of the trainees during the period. We also thank our brothers from the ECOMIC. I was told that the Nigerian Contingent 9 also delivered at least one of the lectures and shared some of their experiences in counterterrorism operations.
This graduation marks yet another milestone in GAF's ongoing commitment to safeguarding the nation through capacity building, strategic training, and sustainable security preparedness. Reporting for Gttv News, Ami Jallo.
To the National Assembly now, where hearings have begun into the disposal of assets linked to the former President Yahya Jammeh. The Special Select Committee is examining the findings of the Janneh Commission in what many see as a vital step towards accountability. Kausu Dafe tells us more.
The Special Select Committee on the Sales and Disposals of Assets, appointed to follow up on findings by Jammeh's Commission, officially commenced its hearings here at the National Assembly on Monday, 14 July 2025. During the opening session, the committee chairperson, Honorable Abdoulaye Cisse, addressed members and underscores the importance of making parliamentary privilege and findings public requirements. The committee's comments to transparency and accountability.
Misrepresent or conceal any information relevant to the committee's work. Furthermore, in accordance with parliamentary privilege, any statement you make before this committee shall not be used against you in any court of law, except in cases of perjury. That is, if it is proven that you deliberately provided false information while under oath, you are therefore expected to cooperate fully and provide truthful, accurate.
One of the key witnesses, Dauda A. Jallo, was questioned about his ability to testify on certain documents under review. He stated that he could only provide testimony on matters he could recall accurately and truthfully. Further into the commission, Mr. Jallo answered questions posed by the council regarding the authority and mandate given to the commission, engaging in details.
This is about thinking. These are human beings. So other than records, the human thinking that went into the decision making, I cannot testify to that. How was it there? I cannot even express an opinion on it. We'll check for all the documents that we can find relating to that period. Any document that, while the thinking was going on, anything that they reduced into writing and is available, we'll provide that. But what thinking went into the decision making, I cannot testify to that.
The issue of terms of reference, TOR, was also clarified by Mr. Jallo during his testimony. In addition, Mr. Jallo responded to specific questions from Honorable Suebu Toure about the assets and the TOR, providing further insights during the commission.
Now, as outside of this TOR, the commissions are set under the Constitution and they are vested with powers of the High Court with respect to compelling attendance of witnesses, production of documents, and also making interim orders. That's a constitutional provision. And they have mandate to implement that, which is outside. We would not find that in this legal notice. But that's a power that they have. So the way they utilize that, whether you call that prosecution or not, that's something else. But they have the powers of a court of law, High Court for that matter, with respect to compelling attendance of witnesses, production of documents, examining witnesses, and also making interim decisions. Specify terms. They become the minimum implied terms for any given contract. In this case, we have seen Section 16 of the Commission of Inquiry Act give minimum terms or TOR for a secretary to a commission. Of course, you could blow that up into a more detailed terms of reference, but in the absence of a detailed terms of reference, our fallback position will be that minimum TOR set up by law. So for the position of for the issue of secretary, we are not completely in a helpless situation because the law has prescribed minimum functions of a secretary to a commission of inquiry, which is statute. So even if they had developed a TOR, they can only build on that, but they cannot depart from that. If, for example, at the end of our search, exhaustively, we are not able to find any TOR for the secretary, we have no option but to use that as the TOR of the secretary, because that is statute, it's law.
Reporting from Gttv, I am Kausu Dafe.
A civil society group is raising the alarm over what it's called two major threats to Gambian democracy: the issuance of national ID cards and proposed hikes in electoral fees. The group, ID Card Scheme, a great concern, held a press briefing in Latrikunda Savigi earlier this week. Amijaro reports.
At the press conference held by the group ID Card Scheme, a great concern to address two major national issues: the issue of national identity cards and the proposed hike in electoral fees. At the event, the movement's president raised serious concerns about the alleged issue of ID cards to individuals who are not Gambian citizens.
Kaito nyinting, mengira na national ID card oditing, ka di bantala bankolto, akamunta ko dorong kulam mealon ko ay na bankola carte fay kango, mana electoral integrity, ayo maslan di bakele, anem banko fana la tanko fana, wo fana mkulet mealon ko ayo fana jarajarandi. Munad na wol silandi, wala minto ko bankola tanko kiskisiro laytan le ko ni be bankola kayto dila ni ma di ni silo la me alan ko le mo verification ti aninka amaro scrutinize akamunta ko don isadino mola mo me alan ko asatene la banko to tinyala wala sikukeno la banko to yala astana amaro manke banko dimote min to ko nyimman sakunda ila lack of transparency ila lankin man bir balaya nyin kola because ku folo mbilifta ko wala min to ko ninga ta jetta pour banko la masakunda wuli jankata banko la kayto di bantala bankol inyanda ka ku folo men fo banko dingol wala min to ko Gambia din jelle be o banko kanje o Gambia din nanga mo meje mo jelle bol kono la me alon ko amang Gambia la ID card wala man Gambia kayto so fa jarte italien ya wuli jang ikata ID card diwol la for free kam moltu jamne alon ko la sula ku ba fa mo bala andu ID card bo le fana fala kasia na miro de kata ikata da men so ni ma nyim fo non telien ñinen na sotaro na ko carte fa me anyati nang 2026 akamonto ko do nyima ko na be siri ngebi hammol be tarale to le pour ruling party ñi yata ya afebo ning kayto la karola kadum ID kato ko me ngafa nyamela ni mo be siri fo gabon ko gamben ko le malla bo ñin kala undu kayto la pour ay boras kalo so na miro do membe je me ko mata avec la ID kato tine.
An executive member echoed these worries, accusing the government of manipulating the voter base through such actions.
Barola mansakunda ala NPP mansakunda ipareta leka electiono tapale aka sunya 2026 afero mu muneti ngame moy hajila wole munyinti ko diaspora voting yenna diaspora ngol bali carte fayola le aketam albania lale. You guys reported on that massively. Ye bari wokola enata imanta tubabudu diaspora. Diaspora is broad based. Bari ko beta kam banka dantan nito. Purkata ila ifankotobo isaju be mo men soto.
The conference also focused on the proposed increase in electoral fees for chairman, mayor, and presidential aspirants. The president emphasized that these high fees could create barriers to fair political participation, especially impacting women, youth, and new political voices.
Councilor me alan golel ka wuli saba nyini nikalo councilor nyini wala ya wasa mana wuli tang député me alan ko ka wuli la jonu ya wala faya samba wuli keme wuli talulu chairman ulta ya wasa ma wuli keme president ya nyinu ya wasa ma fo dala so million clean nyingatu na ko so bitamen do wala minti ko ka fan ifantara mol kam man sakunda ni be tabi ko angalo ka men ko self application so self application na ta dum men ka blan wala mun ko impunity wala mun to mbel watu nyalale mo to ku balaji anu nona ta watu wadu goro mol ka nyinal ko la watu ka banne bari men kana pataje wala banku dingoti banku ding ordinary banku dingol so wala atunna la fita ka commando ko député bungola ila wol lon kan woni ya revise mana ya murdi ko anu mandra nyim foka ko men like be siring camera nyati wonda madama fokande we mean what we are saying me men foka nyanga minle ka foko carte fayo nyanta ka tiline anyanta ka tale fairly mana kanya ko ngoltima equality mol ya kanya an koteke kate fay koro min kala nomination kan amanyen nakata exorbitantly ka mobali kanyini momi alonko kodiko damale kala problem pour kalo place.
The group concluded by urging authorities to consider both the ID card issue policy and the electoral fee structure, stressing the need to uphold fairness and inclusivity in Gambian democracy. Reporting for Gttv News, Ami Jallo.
And staying with calls for accountability, the fight against corruption is picking up pace following public outcry over asset sales tied with Jambe era. The group Gambians Against Looted Assets has announced new peaceful protests demanding far-reaching reforms. Kausu Dafe tells us more.
It began with a march, a public outcry over the unexplained sale of assets once owned by Yahya Jammeh, assets that were meant to be returned to the state and used for the public good. That process, which drawn hundreds of forces and the government to respond, President Adama Barrow pledged and pursued accountability with weeks. The National Assembly set up a formal inquiry into the asset sales, and just this past Monday, that investigations officially began. But for many Gambians, the issue is far broader than one scandal. This week, Gambians Against Looted Assets, the same group behind the earlier demonstrations, has filed a formal request with a police to stage another peaceful protest. The march scheduled for the Tuesday, 22nd July at Westfield in Canifing Municipality. Organizers says this protest is not just a response to isolated wrongdoing, but a reality and crying against what they describe as a systematic breakdown of accountability. They point for years of audit reports, whistleblowers' accounts, and investigative journalists that have exposed widespread corruption, mismanagement, and abuse of office yet yield few consequences. Their grievance spans across sectors, from oil deals and public health funds to land allocations, government impresses, abuse reports, and electoral mismanagement and financial irregularities in key national institutions. Even the Gambia Football Federation has been named among those allegedly implicated in misuse of public resources. They argue that the same patterns continue. Public reports surface, parliaments, debates, and then silence, no prosecutions, no transparency, and no justice. The group insists that the protest will be peaceful and fully in accordance with Section 25 of the 1997 Constitution, which guarantees the right of the freedom of expression and peaceful assembly. They describe it as civic duty, a collective act of conscience to defend democratic giants, and demanded better governance. With the National Assembly inquiry into Jammeh's assets now underway, the pressure is building. Citizens are demanding more than statements. They want investigations to lead to arrest, misuse funds returned, and officials held to account. For many here, this is no longer just about corruption. It is about future of democracy itself, whether institutions can serve the people or continue to shield those in power. On July 22nd, the street of Westfield may once again become the stage for a national demand for justice. Reporting from Gttv, I am Kausu Dafe.
From that story by Kausu Dafe will lead us to our first break. When we come back, entertainment is up next. Stay tuned. Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, you are being reminded that you're still watching Gttv News. In entertainment, tensions are arising in the Gambian music industry. A feud between artist Hussein Dada and Attack has spiraled into the public arena, sparking online clashes between rival fan groups. Yaya Bar has more on this.
What began as a lyrical sparring match has now become a cultural flashpoint. Hussein Dada and Attack, both celebrated for their lyrical prowess and royal fan base, were once seen as symbol of a rising generation of Gambian talent. But in recent weeks, that camaraderie has crumbled. Their dispute had moved from the studio to social media, and it's no longer just about music. Fans of both artists have taken Twitter, Facebook, and WhatsApp group in drove, posting in defense of their idols and attacking the opposition camp. What started as banter has escalated into bitter exchange, online harassment, and in some cases, the sharing of deeply personal accusations. Among the most controversial claims now circulating are those concerning sexual orientation, an issue that remains highly taboo in Gambian society. The inclusion of such allegations in public fraud had sparked alarm among human rights advocates and cultural figures. They warn that the argument is now straying into dangerous territories, fueling existing prejudice rather than promoting healthy debate or competition. The music industry, one hails for its ability to bring together diverse audiences, now finds itself on edges. Some fear the fraud could damage the public perception of Gambian music at a time when it's gaining traction regionally and internationally. Both artists have remained active on their respective platforms, but have yet to issue clear statements aimed at de-escalating the tension. Some fans have begun calling for reconciliation or at least a talk before the rivalry leaves lasting scar on their community. As the story continues to unfold, it raises bigger questions about the responsibility and come with influence, the fine line between arts and personal attacks, and whether music can still be a force for unity in an increasingly polarized landscape.
Well, from that story by Yaya Bab will lead us to our second break. When we come back, we look at sports. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Now to sports. A historic achievement in women's football. Berawuleng FC have clinched a domestic double, winning both the league and the GFF Women's FA Cup. The Brikama side trampled over defending champions Red Scorpions in a thrilling final. Our sports reporter Kausudafe has the latest report.
In a final brimming with tensions, passions, and history on the line, Berawuleng FC rose to the occasions and delivered a performance that will echo the Gambian football for EAC Stockholm. Under the soaring Brikama sun, the two titans of women's football clash in a fiery contested battle. Red Scorpion came with an experience. The defending champions composed in positions, controlling the tempo, but the Berawuleng came with the hunger, grilled brief. And then, in the 78th minute, the breakdown. Ellen Gomez scored above the defenders and thundered in a stunning header. The stadium erupted. It was a goal that cracked the match wide open. Red Scorpion tried to respond, but the tide had turned. 13 minutes later, the final blow came. Mafanta Drame, with a post and powered, made a cross and buried a second header into the back of the net. 2-0. Game over. History made. For the first time ever, Berawuleng FC have done the double. League champions and FF Cup champions winners in the same season. A feat once threw out of the reach. Now a reality, as the golden trophy was lifted high into the sky, accompanied by chants and celebrations. The players knew this was more than just a win. This was a legacy. With the cup came and $250 prize for the Red Scorpion, heartbreak, and $150,000 to take home. But on this day, there was only one name on the lips of fans here in Brikama. Reporting from Gttv, I am Kausudafe.
From that story by Kausudafe, we'll draw the curtains of this news bulletin. But before we take a leave of you, here are our top stories once again. A major shake-up in land policy as the Ministry of Lands announces new measures aimed at curbing land hoarding and speculation. A fresh batch of Gambian soldiers completes advanced training in counter-terrorism and leadership. And cabinet ministers begin a 3-day retreat at State House focusing on delivering results in key priority areas. Well, viewers, that's it for this edition of Gttv News in English. Thank you for watching. I have been your presenter. My name is Aisha Tukoli. Have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.